Welcome to Is Franchising Right for You? With your host, Rick Morgin. Through each episode, we'll demystify preconceived notions about franchising, both entrepreneurs franchising and those buying a franchise. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Now here's the host of Is Franchising Right for You? Rick Morgin.
Hello, Dan. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'd like to welcome the CEO of Voda Cleaning and Restoration. Now, Dan, I distinctly, if your memory is different, tell me. But I distinctly remember about this time a year ago, we were at our summer conference. I was sitting to your left. You were new to the FCC. Just ready to launch franchising for Voda Cleaning and Restoration. And 11 months later, 100 units, 42 owners, 17, 18 states. That's incredible. That is incredible growth. What's been your experience over the last 11 months, almost a year, with the growth of Voda Cleaning and Restoration?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the podcast. Was very much looking forward to speaking with you. It's surreal for me as well. Today, that announcement went out around the 100 territories that we've awarded around the nation. And I remember that conversation 11 months ago. It's something that I attribute to a lot of hard work, the power of focus, keeping a positive mindset, and a little bit of luck is probably my best answer to how we've gotten to here today.
That's great. A little bit of luck. Yeah, a little bit of luck always helps. I mean, that's like the right conversation at the right time, being at the right place at the right time, taking advantage of opportunities that you see maybe ahead of somebody else. Now, I want to bring up TikTok. I use TikTok to document my journey fighting prostate cancer, but I'm not the master you are. I opened up TikTok and you've got these incredible shorts of lessons of your business, of leads, of leadership. I just saw the latest one this morning. It's such a catchy title. Leads don't suck, you suck. I wanted to listen more, but it's so true. If your leads aren't where you want them to be, it's probably due to messaging. Tell us about your use of TikTok and why you chose that platform over any other.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on that, somewhat facetious joke around the luck idea. Well, I'm a big believer in that quote that the harder I work, the luckier I get, right? Or, preparation, or luck is essentially preparation, meaning opportunity. And, when it comes to TikTok and social media and this whole personal brand journey that I'm on, I think the best answer I can tell you is that I've been really working at it. And it's a very uncomfortable thing for me to do. I know it may not look that way on the camera, but as I do this more and more, I get better. But when I first started putting out content, I definitely have some type of undiagnosed ADD. Many CEOs do. I would get on there. I would try to slop together a video and then I'd hit play and I wanted to move on to my plethora of things that I have to do per day, right? As I make more content, I always need to remind people I'm not a content creator. My job day to day is running Voda. I spend only a few hours on it, but it's just been a lot of trial and error. But the thing that I tell people about personal brand is, I've been in sales and business for my whole career, and I've always learned a very old school mentality around sales, which is I want to try to get face to face with people as much as I can. Well, if you could imagine, if I told you there was a way where every morning you could go to breakfast and have a coffee with 5, 6, 7 different people who may want to buy from you in your business, but instead of going to coffee in the car, all you had to do was turn on your camera and speak to a microphone, you'd probably do it. And I had this realization that there's no reason to treat the camera any different than you do when you're in person with people. You don't overthink what you're doing when you're having a coffee at a restaurant or dinner with friends or family. And so my mindset around content is just to film the real life. You know, sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's not, but that's really been my goal.
Same with my documentation. I was thinking about when I was going to ask why you use TikTok, about why I chose TikTok. I mean, it was a platform that I hadn't used before, but it was just going to be something fun because it's live and on the spot. So you don't have time to overthink it. You're going to deliver what you're feeling at the moment, and it's going to be as authentic as it can be because it is, published right there. What is the difference?
What was the what?
The
Sorry.
Voda difference. There's
Sure.
a lot of cleaning companies, a lot of restoration companies. I do think you're the first one that put both services together. And as when I'm presenting Voda, I know why. But there's other things about Voda that create this differentiation that has allowed you to expand so fast. And kind of what's been your take on that?
Yeah, and just to piggyback on the content thing, Rick, I think it's incredible the way that you share your journey with prostate cancer, and that you're showing that side of your life, which is I commend you on. And when it comes to content, I think the reality is you just need to share our personal journeys, which sometimes are highs and sometimes lows. What makes Voda different is really a very specific combination of things. So we've differentiated ourselves in the marketplace for franchise owners as a business opportunity based on 4 pillars of support that we provide. So first off, like you mentioned, we're the only franchise and the first of only any franchise to do cleaning and restoration in one model. What that allows is a business owner to have the opportunity to participate in restoration, which is an amazing business. It's a high average ticket. It's profitable. It's a recession-proof business. It's a need, not a want, and insurance pays the bill. It's a great business. But the negative is that sometimes there isn't restoration work every single day. So we have this other revenue stream allowing 2 franchises in one through the cleaning side as well. So that's one thing. The first pillar of support we provide franchise owners is we do a tremendous amount of lead generation for our franchise owners. We take that off their plate. Now, they still, of course, have to network and go out there and be what I call the mayor of the town in their community, but we take the marketing off their plate and we answer the phones through a call center. So I think the first thing is, we've really focused on helping franchise owners do what's most important, which is helping them get sales and jobs in their business.
Yeah, I mean, it's through the call center that really enables the franchise owner to become the mayor of the town, because it gives them that extra time to network, communicate to various network groups, chambers, and so on, that they're the proud owner of Voda Cleaning and Restoration for XYZ city or territory. And that's one aspect I really respect out of what you've done for this company. You think back 11 months, just getting started, and you've created a support system for the franchisees that is very incredible. What if, for new franchisors coming onto the scene now, and let's say they may not want, they're not necessarily envisioning 100 territories sold within a year, but what's your advice for new franchisors as far as capital required to build the infrastructure and the capital required to and hopefully ensure the success of their franchisees?
If you are interested in franchising your business, you have to recognize that you're going to go from the business you're in to the people business. You're going to go in from the painting business to the training business, the people business, the support business. If I were to do everything all over again, I would do what I did again. There's things I wouldn't do again, but what I would do is I would focus on finding a COO with franchise experience. So if you're someone that has built a great painting business and you're a tremendous subject matter expert, great. but being a franchisor is a whole new business. And if you want to leapfrog making a lot of mistakes and wasting a lot of money, I would hire someone in my industry or in franchising that knows the emotions and the journey that every franchise owner goes through, because that's something that is going to take a long time to learn, that I'm still learning every day. So I would invest in the great COO to run the franchise business who has franchise industry experience dealing with franchisees. And then number two, I would invest in a good marketing person to help make the phones ring for franchisees. That's key. And then you as the founder, you would either focus on being the subject matter expert, the head trainer, and in that case, you're going to have to hire someone to sell the franchise for you, or you could bring in a head subject matter expert and you go focus on selling. What I've done at Voda is I've focused on two things: bringing in great people and bringing in great franchise owners. And that's been my key to success. So I think that if you want to franchise your business, you're going to have to focus on only one or two things with immense focus.
So a new franchise or kind of into your CEO role, focus on one or two things, but bring in the great people to support you. So to allow the day-to-day interaction with franchisees, and also the development of lead gen for the franchisees to kind of lift them off the ground. So what I'm hearing?
Yeah, like, give you an example. For me, like, I'm pretty good at, talking with people. And so I headed up a lot of the franchise development, meaning the speaking to prospective franchise owners for this past year. I was responsible for, 40% of our territories, right? And what I was able to do was I was able to learn from that. I was able to build, not only was I able to build deep, meaningful relationships, though at 100 units, it's not easy to have deep, meaningful relationships with 42 different business owners in your system. But what's pretty interesting is because I was so intimately involved in the development side of our business, I know every single owner's name. I know facts about them. I know their even sometimes spouse's name. If they worked with me, I know even more. And that allowed me to then have the relationship to listen to them as they bought and opened their territories and hear things that we needed to solve. Because the one thing I'll tell you about being a franchisor is if you're going to do this and your goal is just to be better than your competition, John's Painting is not doing that great as a franchisor, we're going to just do better than them. Don't franchise. If you want to be in a business where your customer, the franchisee, is divinely dissatisfied, they are not ever going to be satisfied, but you understand that that is what's going to push you to make the system better, and like you enjoy building it for that reason, I would franchise. That's the best way I can explain it. If you want something where everyone's always happy, don't franchise. But if you're someone that can kind of thrive on understanding that your franchisees' challenges are not challenges, they're actually opportunities, and they're actually giving you great feedback to make the business better, those are the people that should franchise.
That's a characteristic you look for in your franchisees. Someone who's not satisfied, someone who wants to continue to scale, not just, I've got a great territory, I want to get to hit this plateau and then I'm good. You want somebody to try to improve every day, every year. And that's the type of characteristics that I'm hearing in what you look for in your candidates. That's one. And then a lot of these things that you're doing and you've built, perhaps you brought them in from your learnings from other companies that you've built and developed along the way into what you're doing now. That's another, I guess, I didn't phrase it as a question, but it's kind of a discussion point,
Yeah. I mean, I'm a overnight success 10-year in the making. I got into franchising in my early 20s. I've been close to bankrupt in my previous business. I've had to bridge the business money. I've, made mistakes. I've worked myself to being sick and actually literally having to take multiple weeks off because I was exhausted from working 80 hours a week. I've had the mindset of, no one can do the job as good as me. If you want a job done right, you do it yourself. And I ended up being the whole business. I've overinvested, underinvested. I mean, I've made every mistake you could think of. And so to me, that's why you buy a franchise. While everyone else was, in college doing keg stands, I was building my first business, maybe doing some keg stands too in college, if I'm being honest. But I was out, building my first business. And then in my early 20s, I was building my lead generation company that I built for 7 years and then sold to private equity. But that journey wasn't easy. While friends of mine were going on trips, I was working on that business 6-7 days a week. And so I think when you invest in a franchise, what you're doing is you're investing in somebody else's mistakes. Like you're leapfrogging the trial and error that franchisor went through. In the case of Voda, my CMO and COO and VP of Ops and the rest of our team have all been through lots of different, experiences of trial and error. And, there's this great saying, how do you get experience? Well, you get experience through, you make good decisions by gaining experience. You gain experience by making a bunch of bad decisions. Yeah. And so to me, franchising provides people a vehicle to be in business for themselves without having to do all the trial and error.
I'm going to paraphrase a quote, and I forget who made the statement, the quote, but it's the success is falling down 7 times and getting up that 8th, So you've been through it all. Tell us about your vision for Voda. Where do you see Voda Cleaning and Restoration 1 to 5 years from now?
Yeah. I mean, we have a pretty specific goal. We want to get to 600 territories around the nation. So we're at 100 now, so 103. So we want to get to 600, have about, 200 to 250 owners in the system. Most importantly, we want the AUVs to be at at a number that franchise owners are ecstatic about and profitable. I mean, I'd be lying to tell you we don't want to be the household name in restoration, but my North Star is to build the largest privately held home services platform. So we do plan to have multiple brands within our portfolio. We think that, not only can a franchise owner be a multi-unit owner, but a multi-brand owner where they can leverage, shared services and have a multiple, territory business, multiple brand business in their community. Maybe they want to build that up and sell it to private equity or to a strategic buyer, have a big exit. For us, most franchisors, a lot of them are running toward an exit to private equity. Nothing wrong with that, or they're owned by private equity. There's nothing wrong with private equity. But our vision is to build the largest privately held home services platform. Whether that means we're bigger than ServPro and we're massive, or we're a fairly large company, but we're still privately held. To me, keeping it within my family and leadership team is a key goal. And I think that truly benefits franchise owners because they have the opportunity to participate in a business where we're thinking 10, 15, 20 years out, not just about, next year, 3 years out.
One thing I enjoy about Voda, but also you, is the way you put yourself out there on the different social media platforms. And it's a lot of messaging about your experiences and your philosophies. That's different than a lot of CEOs. That CEOs won't take the time to do a daily post on TikTok and LinkedIn and so forth. You stated that it was difficult at first, and now you've learned and improved. It looks like you enjoy it too now. So,
well, I mean, I still have my own limiting, beliefs, right? As the company grows, there's an expectation as the leader of the organization to be, pretty serious, which I am, right, throughout most of the day. But I'm still a human being, and so I've just decided that I'm going to share, the good, the bad, the business side of me, the personal side of me. And I find that people connect with that. Our franchise owners connect with it. Our prospective franchise owners connect with it. What happened for me, Rick, was I can't call 42 franchise owners all day long and coach them, right? And even on group calls, there's only so much I can do. And so my decision to make content centered around how can I make a bigger impact educating our franchise owners through content, and then a collateral or secondary benefit is that other people can see it. And so, yeah, putting myself out there is definitely a priority. But it's I don't know if anyone's ever done that in franchising, running a large organization. So either when you're doing something no one's done, either it's brilliant or it's stupid. So well, jury's out. 18 months from now, we'll have to see where we land.
I commend you on that approach. Your shorts are serious with your personality. They deliver great messages. And so I like that about yourself and what you're doing for your company in that way. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss or express about what you're trying to do, Voda, that we haven't?
I mean, in my opinion, I've gotten to know you over the past year, Rick. If you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking about owning a business, my advice to anyone is just take the first step. It doesn't mean you have to do anything. So reach out to Rick. He's got a ton of different franchise opportunities and does a great job consulting with people and making, matches, if you will, right? Like a matchmaker of business to candidate. I've always said, you eat an elephant by taking one bite at a time. So if you're interested in owning a business, keep listening to podcasts, but that's only going to get you so far, right? Make the call to have the conversations. Doesn't mean you have to do anything, but I think taking that first step is key.
When I give a webinar or seminar, I always open with, if there's anything you take away from this webinar or seminar as you explore franchising, is work with a consultant. Right. How do you narrow down 4,000 different brands into the one that matches you? That's a great view behind you. You're in New York City, no?
I'm in New York City. I'm in my home. I just decided to, I might keep this setup over here. It's like I'm on a news channel. Like got Times Square behind me here. But,
oh, wow. So you can, on New Year's Eve, if you're home, you can look right out your window and see all the festivities.
Yep.
That's cool. When my daughter, she was going into her senior year, she wanted to experience Times Square. So we made the trip out to New York City. It wasn't too cold then, but it was just amazing how early people line up and the way the NYPD funnels you into those pens. And then once you're in a pen on a block, you're there. You're not leaving. So
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. It is scary, and you have to plan. Like how are you going to nourish yourself? Perhaps not be able to go to the bathroom and stuff. Stuff we don't we don't want to think about. But,
well, I'll leave that to everyone else. I'll just look out the window here.
So, Dan, it's been a year, almost a year. We're going to see you in Mexico next week.
I will be there next week. That's right.
Okay. Well, it'd be good to see you there. I'll be there too. And I want to thank you again. I want to thank our audience for when you listen and watch, and appreciate the time we spent with Dan Claps, CEO of this rapidly growing, incredible franchise, Voda Cleaning and Restoration. Thank you, Dan.
You've been tuning into Is Franchising Right for You? With your host, Rick Morgin. You can find more episodes on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.